Welcome to my channel. Glad you're tuning in today. I hope all is well with you and yours. God is a good God. Today we're going to talk about, can you forgive others? The other day I made a recording on us learning to forgive ourselves, but we need to forgive others also. Just before we do, bottom right hand corner, if you'll hit that button and subscribe, give me a thumbs up. It costs you nothing but about 5 seconds of your time. No money involved, not asking for anything. Just subscribe. If I get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewing hours, they will offer my video to people and they'll start offering it. Right now they don't, so I could use your help. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. Can you forgive others? Ephesians 4:32. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving each other, just as God in Christ also forgave you. All right? God forgave you, so you need to forgive other people. All right? So if you don't forgive other people, you're going to have a real problem. You must learn to forgive. We should show God's love to everybody that we meet. And just as God in Christ Jesus has forgiven you, you need to forgive other people. You say, well, it's hard because they really hurt me. I understand. There isn't anybody in life that's lived very long hadn't been hurt by somebody. Somebody hadn't said something that's not true, or somebody slandered you in some way, or maybe you did something when you was 14 years old. You took a car for a joyride, and you're 54 years old, and they're still telling people in the neighborhood that you live or whatever, oh yeah, I went to school with him, and he stole a car when he was 14. Him and 2 or 3 other guys went out for a joyride. They're never going to let it go. If you're a child of God, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't bring up people's past mistakes unless it's something that absolutely has to be done. And a quick example, a church is going to give a job to someone. I won't say it's a woman. Most times it is a woman, but it can be a man. They're going to be the controller of all the money. And they don't know that this person had stole from 2 other churches several $1,000s from each one. Yeah, you got to go talk to the pastor. You got to tell him to check into that and look a little bit harder, because you've got a wolf trying to get into the hen house. And so something like that you would have to. But just to tell things about people, even if they're true, 20 years later, 40 years later, I mean, when are you going to let it go? When are you going to learn to forgive people? I mean, is it ever going to happen? The Lord talks about this. We should show God's love to others, and not only look back at the good and the blessings that God's given us, but in our life we can share them with others, share good things with others, and say good things. The Bible says think on good things. We not only need to think on good things, but we need to share good things with people that will uplift them and help them, especially if they're struggling. This is Christ's law of forgiveness. We must forgive and show God to others by forgiving. Now we're going to get into Mark chapter 11, verses 25-26. Here's the real meat of it. Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that in your heart the Father who is in heaven will also forgive you of your trespasses. All right? Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father who is in heaven will also forgive you of your trespasses. Now, what's the next verse say in verse 26? But if you do not forgive, let me hammer that again. If you do not forgive, neither will the Father who is in heaven forgive you of your transgressions. All right? So if you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive other people. If you can't forgive other people, God's not going to forgive you. That's just how simple it is. This is not complicated. You can read these verses for yourself. Mark chapter 11, verse 25-26. The Lord tells us plainly, well, let me hit it one more time. The Father who is in heaven will also forgive you of your trespasses. He'll forgive you if you forgive others. We'll go to the top. Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father who is in heaven will also forgive you of your transgressions. But if you do not forgive, if you do not forgive, neither will your Father who is in heaven forgive you of your trespasses, your transgressions. God won't forgive you. You must forgive people. It's hard to do sometimes. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. All right? If doing the right thing was easy, everybody'd be doing the right thing. It's a lot easier for people to lie. Hey, you're backing out here in Walmart and my car got clipped. There's a big dent and a scratch down the side. Oh, I never did that. Well, you're backing out right now. I heard it. I never hit you. It's easier to lie. They lie about it, you know? And so that's why I park out in the Weight Watchers section. I park way out. I mean, way out. And then I park next to a cart return so that one side of my vehicle is shielded. And I take 2 spots. You said, oh, that's terrible. Well, no, because I'm out in the middle of East Jerusalem. I'm nowhere near the store. Nobody parks out there. Why do I do it? Because there's a lot of stupid people that shop at Walmart. Or I shop there, so maybe I'm one of them. I don't know. But I know one thing. If I hit somebody's car, I'd wait till they come out and talk to them about it. And I had a friend out there that parked his truck in handicapped parking. And he come out, and his front fascia on his bumper was laying on the ground with his plate attached to it. His front headlight on the driver's side was busted. His blinker light was busted. And then there was a scratch about that big, about that long, and about that wide all the way down to the primer on his paint on his fender. Somebody hooked him as they was backing out and tore it up. What'd they do? They put a note underneath his wiper blade. I'm sorry I hit you, but I don't have insurance. That was it. And he has a mess. He's retired. He doesn't have a lot of extra money. And they left him with that mess. If you don't have any car insurance, you shouldn't be driving. And if you're that dishonest that you won't stay around, you're not much of a person. But the Lord won't forgive you if you don't forgive other people. So you have to learn to forgive. Somewhere along the line, you got to forgive. All right? That doesn't mean that if they would have caught that person, he should let them go away and not pay for the damage. That's part of being an adult. Accept responsibility for your actions. And he needed to pay for the damage to his vehicle. But that's why I park way out in the Weight Watchers section, so that I don't have to deal with people like that. You know, and I love these people. They used to do it to me, not no more. I don't park there. They're done shopping, and they push their cart right in front of your car and lay it up against a pole or set it this far from your car and walk off. I stop people and say, hey, 30 feet down, there's a cart return. My truck's right here. I said, oh, okay. So he gets in his truck, in his car. And when he does, I roll the cart over and lay it right up against his front tire. He gets out. I'm not trying to have a fight with him. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm giving your cart back to you. There you go. Now, you're even closer to the cart return. You walk around the store for an hour, but you can't put a cart 30 feet down, walk 30 feet down, put the cart in there. After you walk around the store for an hour, you want to lay it up by somebody's car so my car gets hit? He grabs the cart, he don't send it, he goes down there and shoves it in, gives me a dirty look as he's driving off. And that was the day I decided I'm not going to park where people can park by me no more. It's not worth it. So I started parking way out in the Weight Watchers section. I've been doing that for about 6 or 7 years now. I'll let anybody get next to my truck because I just don't want to deal with it. And there's a lot of people out there, believe it or not, there are just a lot of stupid people out there. And we have to be careful. You can get on here and make a comment, saying I'm being a little mean or whatever you want to do. I never raised my voice. I never said a bad word. I'm talking to that man just like I'm talking to you right now in a normal voice. But I let him know it's not right. I mean, this guy was probably in his 60s. You ought to know by now that when you put your stuff in your car, pushing your cart up, 1 or 2 parking places up, and shoving it right in front of somebody's car is not the place to dump your cart. Why didn't he dump it by his cart? Or, better yet, go 30 feet down. Because I paced it off after he drove off. It was 30 feet. All he had to do is walk down 30 feet, and it's down. It slopes down. You can just almost just push it with one finger, go down there and put it in the cart return. But they don't do it. You know, they want to put it up against your car. So that's my little pet peeve today. But I had to forgive people like that. So in order to forgive people like that, I just cut the whole problem out. I park way out in the Weight Watchers section, And I no longer have to forgive nobody because they don't do anything to me, because I'm nowhere around for them to do it. We see this in the Lord's Prayer about forgiveness. Forgive us our debts as we also forgive those our debtors. We forgive our debtors. So if we want forgiveness, we have to give forgiveness. You can't be like that guy in the Bible where he owed money and they forgave him. Then he turns around and gets a hold of a guy that owes him about a tenth of what he owed, and he wants to pay him and puts him in jail. Why? Because he wanted forgiveness, but he didn't want to show no forgiveness. He wanted mercy, but he didn't want to show any mercy. The Lord wants you to show mercy to people. The Lord wants you to forgive people. And it's so important to the Lord, he put here in the verses in Mark 11, 25, 26, that if you don't forgive people, he won't forgive you. It's real simple. The Lord didn't make it complicated. So you're going to have to learn to forgive people. And you say, well, it's hard sometimes. They're maybe a family member or whatever. I understand that. It's not always easy. Doing the right thing. My mother and father taught me this from a young age. Doing the right thing is not easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it. It's not easy, but everybody does it. All right? And I'll give you one little example. It's kind of like that. When I was a kid, you could buy a ball of pop for a dime. You could buy a nice sized bag of chips for 10 cents. You could get a pack of Twinkies or my favorite Suzy Q's for a dime. The little confectionery there would make you a bologna and cheese sandwich for a dime. Then the candy was a penny a piece. And they had the pretzel rods that were about that long. And they were about that big around. And they were a penny a piece. I forgot when they raised them to 2 cents. I about had a heart attack when they did that. But so you'd see how cheap things were. I found a $5 bill in the gutter right by the curb. I picked it up. And the first thing I said to myself, jackpot. Boy, man, you hit the jackpot. It was on a Friday. I remember that because the next day, me and my friends were supposed to play ball up at the park. And I thought, man, I'm going to buy pop. I'm going to buy chips. I'm going to get me some Suzy Q's. And I already was spending some of that money. Now, I was going to take $3 of it and put it in my safety deposit place. But I was going to take $2 with me to spend that day and have fun. And I was so happy. Only problem was I went in the house waving the $5 bill, and my mom said to me, where did you get it? I said, it was out there in the gutter in the street. She said, did you go around asking anybody if they lost it? I was like, what? She said, did you? I said, no. She goes, well, you start with a neighbor across the hall that rents from us. And then you go next door to that house. Then you go next door to the other house. And then you work your way down the street. See if nobody lost it, nobody claims it, you can keep it. But you must do the right thing. Did I say the right thing wasn't easy? So I went over there and my mom was standing in the living room. I left the door open because we only had a vestibule that was about 3 feet wide, maybe 4 feet, and about 3 or 4 feet that way. And there was a storm door. And when you come inside the storm door, there's 3 apartments. My mom and dad's was here. This goes to upstairs apartments, and this one here. I ring her doorbell. She comes to the door, single mom. Yeah, Randy, what you need? I said, did you lose any money? And she said, well, I don't think I did. She goes, why? I said, well, I found some money. I didn't know if you lost any money or not. Now, I never told her how much it was because I was smarter than that. All right. And my mom was standing about 5 feet behind me in the living room, and I knew she was there, and the door was open. She says, well, let me check my purse. She said, I just came in about 5 minutes ago. She says, oh, my Lord, I lost that $5 bill. I was trying to get my keys. I was fumbling to get my keys, so I shoved it on the side of my purse, and I lost my $5 bill. I turned around, looked at my mom. My mom's like this. I said, well, I found this out in the street. Oh, she gave me a big hug, kissed me on top of my head. She was so happy and all that. I walked away. She closed the door. I stepped back into my mom's living room, closed the door. She said, you did the right thing. And then I was honest with her. I was probably 11 or 12. I don't know, somewhere in there. I said, Mom, if it's the right thing to do, why do I feel so bad? She said, well, you shouldn't. It wasn't yours. I said, and I told my mom, I was starting to tell her how I was going to spend it and save some of it and all that. And the doorbell rang. So I turn around and open the door. She just steps right in, grabs me and hugs me again. And she puts a Ben Franklin in my hand, which is a $50, 50 cents. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, I want you to have that. And before I could even say that, my mom said, oh, no. He brought you your money. It was your money. She goes, I know it was, Reverend May. I know it was. But he did the right thing, and I want to reward him. I'm $4.50 ahead. I would have lost the 5. She goes, no, that's what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And then she kissed me on top of my head again, thanked me, and went back in her place and closed her door. Then I closed the door, and my mom goes, well, see, you did the right thing, and something good came from it. I said, yeah, and tomorrow I can get me a pack of Suzy Q's. I can get me a Dr. Pepper, a couple of Dr. Peppers, and I still got money to buy candy and all that. I still came out all right. Doing the right thing's not always easy, but you have to do it. Are you trying to paint yourself as some nice person? No. But I don't know about your stories. I don't know what you've done, but I know what I've done. And so, therefore, I was just trying to tell you that we need to know if we want to forgive people, we have to forgive people for the Lord to forgive us. And we have to do the right thing, and the right thing is not always easy. Like being a kid, $5 was worth a fortune when I was a kid. You could have bought a used bicycle from a kid in the neighborhood for $5. Easy. All right? It was a lot of money. But the right thing was, and my mother, later on I realized my mom was right. That woman's a single mom. She worked really hard. She worked up at the hospital. I have no idea what she did. I don't know if she was a nurse, if she worked in the staff where they cleaned the place. I don't know what her job was at the hospital. But I know she worked a lot of long hours and had 2 kids. And so later on that night, I told my mom, and when my dad was sitting in the living room, I said, Mom, I'm glad you did that. And it had me go over and made me feel better. It really did. That, she's a single mom, struggling, trying to take care of her kids, and she needed that money. And so that meant a lot to her also. So God's good to you, but he wants you to forgive other people. We see this in the Lord's Prayer, as I said, forgive your debtors. All right? You're supposed to forgive people. We should leave more for the Lord to speak to us so we can do the right things and listen to the Lord. The Lord showed us mercy. He forgave us of our sins. He showed us mercy. He forgave us of everything that we did wrong. All right? He forgave us. So we have to forgive other people. So we pass it on to others. I'm going to give forgiveness to you because the Lord gave forgiveness to me. And I've had to forgive some people that would not accept my forgiveness. But when I walked away and got my car or whatever, walked away when I was younger, I would say, well, Lord, I did what was right. That's all you can do is do what's right. It's off of you then. It's on them. All right? I forgive them, but some people just don't forgive. All right? But let's touch on this one more time, and I'm going to close. It says here in verse 26, but if you do not forgive, neither will your Father who is in heaven forgive you of your transgressions. The Lord won't forgive you if you don't forgive other people. So the main thing is, folks, learn to forgive people and learn that not everybody may not forgive you if you do something to hurt their feelings or say something to them that's not right and you apologize and they won't accept it and then they quit speaking to you. I'll just tell you this real quick. I worked in a factory for 11 years. And I worked with guys these people were not born in the United States. I worked with 2 or 3 guys that were from Greece, one from Albania, one from Germany. He fought in World War II on the German side, but he said he fought the Russians, not us. I didn't believe that a whole lot because not many guys came back from Russia, and like Stalingrad, they took 91,000 prisoners, only 4,000 of them came home. So if I was him, I don't know. Anyways, and we had a guy from Italy. We had guys from all over the place. We had a Polish guy who was from Poland, and a lot of them talked broken English, and boy, they could hold grudges. And the one guy, he would never speak to the guy. He always did this. I said, I've been here 3 years. I never heard you say a word to that guy. You talk all the time. I haven't spoke to him in 9 years. I go, why? He did me wrong. And he spit in the floor and stepped on it. And I was like, oh. He goes, I said, you're that mad 9 years later? He goes, I'll never speak. I told him I'd never speak to you again. And many of those guys did that. I'm not going to, if they got mad at somebody, I'll never speak to you again. They communicated with hands and gestures and all this because they had to work with them. All right, but they didn't speak to them. And I thought, man, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen enough of that kind in my life. But those people from Europe over there, I'm not saying all people from Europe's that way, but when I was a young man just out of high school and started to work, I worked 11 years in a factory. Those guys could hold a grudge for years and years and years, and they didn't want to end the grudge. And the other guy didn't either. They would not speak to each other. It was unbelievable. So I've seen it firsthand. But I'm glad that I wasn't raised that way, and I was taught to forgive people. Even if they don't forgive you, you forgive them. If you want the Lord to forgive you, folks, you have to learn to forgive other people. Forgiveness is part of being a child of God. You must forgive. God bless you. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time, old Rev May signing off now. You have a wonderful day, and God bless you.